Well, hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Eat Acres. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the unfortunate events that took place yesterday. I got the news by receiving a text from my wife. She was at work and she said, OMG, Charlie Kirk has been shot dead. And to be honest with you guys, totally honest, I had to Google who Charlie Kirk was because I did not recognize the name. I'm more familiar with faces than names. And as soon as his information came up and I saw a picture of this young man, I then recognized him as seeing him in previous times, online, on YouTube, doing podcasts, having debates at college campuses and things like that. But I never really watched his content or followed him. So I really didn't know a whole lot about him. I just knew of him, but didn't really know enough. And so then when I learned about what happened to him, I was just utterly shocked that this guy's First Amendment was stripped because of his ideology and his political views and liked to debate the different things that he was a believer in, and that he could not even have a conversation with anybody without losing his life over it. And it's just appalling what happened to this young man that was just starting out with his wife and young children. And it's just unbelievably heartbreaking what happened to him. But I'm a realist, and I hate to say the fact that this kind of thing is only going to continue. I mean, when you look back in history, this is something that's been going on for centuries. Anytime someone has been in a public spotlight that has very strong things to say and beliefs, there's always been consequences for it. I mean, you can go back and look at JFK, John Lennon, Martin Luther King, tons and tons of people that have been taken out of this world going all the way back to the days of Jesus Christ. Look at what happened to Jesus when he spoke out about the gospel and the ways of God, and they crucified him on the cross. This isn't going to change, because so long as this world exists and you have human beings, there's always going to be good against evil. There's always going to be evil. And this is the problem of why things will not change, is because in this world, we seem to have an issue with dealing with the root cause, which is evil. It just does not get addressed for whatever reason. Now, I believe that this man was assassinated by the left because the left is a cult and they saw him as a future threat to possibly be the next president, because they know Trump is in his final term and they don't want to ever endure anything close to him again. So they saw him as a future threat so they won't have to worry about him. Because when you look at Charlie Kirk's following among many, many young men and women, we're talking millions upon millions, they see that as a threat because that's largely your voter base. So they saw him as a threat. And so they put someone up to it to take him out. I'm a firm believer in that. The ones that are responsible for this type of behavior and these type of things to happen, I think, go way up the chain of command. And these are people that are very wealthy, very powerful, influential people. Now, I remember back when Trump was campaigning on his first term, when he was debating Hillary Clinton, and he said that when he becomes president, she would end up in jail. I think you all remember him saying that, only to find out that those words were empty and nothing ever came of it. And then to come to find out not too long ago, just recently, Trump ended up having a dinner at the White House, and the guests that he invited were all the rich, wealthy elites that belong in prison. I'm talking Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, people that are responsible for AI. These are all people, you guys, that are making life worse. Bill Gates wants population control. Mark Zuckerberg wants to strip away the First Amendment. He believes in censorship. I'm banned from the site because I've ran it down so much to where they told me I'm banned for life, don't care, can't stand the guy, can't stand his company, want nothing to do with Fagbook. These are all people that belong in prison. These are people that are wrecking the lives for the masses on this planet. These are evil people that take their orders directly from the devil. They're no damn good. They're soulless. They're moralless. They have no compassion. They have no love. They have no understanding. You can't reason with evil. When you look at Mark Zuckerberg in that dinner, he's always like this, uptight, nervous, always looking around. His eyes always wide open like a cyborg, always feeling uncomfortable, very, very nervous, on edge. It's because all these elite billionaires don't even trust one another. They gather as if they're best of friends because they are a part of the same club. But they're a bunch of turncoats. None of them trust one another because evil is not loyal to its own kind. Let me say that again. Evil is not loyal to its own kind. Even a demon of equal stature will attack itself. They will attack each other, gnaw and chew on each other, because even though they represent the same exact belief, the same system, the same ideology, evil is so vile it can't even tolerate its own self. And you can't reason with it. You can't, when people go on the internet or these podcasters or ex-news anchors and they say, you know, we don't stand for this. This is not the country we are. You know, we can't have this in our society. Yes, normal, mentally normal, God-fearing, God-believing people would absolutely agree to that, but that's not who you're talking to. Those are people that feel that way and get it and understand and agree. But the people that are responsible, that result in conversations like the one I'm having, are the ones that don't care. You can't reason with evil. It has no love, no compassion, no morals. It doesn't have any feelings. It is completely 100% empty of all the things that make up everything that is good and great. You can't reason with it. And so you have all these people out there that are loyal to this cult following that starts at the top and goes all the way down to street level. You have these people that have these beliefs that are dangerous. There's a difference between having a right to disagree on something, but when that side that disagrees is something that brings harm to those that don't see the same views as themselves, to where they create death and destruction, they then lose all rights that they have to walk among us and share this world, to where they should be rounded up and incarcerated for life. Put them in mental institutions like we once used to do back in the good old damn days. But because this country doesn't want to deal with the massive mental illness that is out there, and this cult following that believes and supports all the things that the devil supports, LGBTQ, same-sex bathrooms, men and women's sports, abortion, all the things that are vile and disgusting and make a normal person want to vomit is what they stand for. Unless you round these people up and you get them out of society and you get it to where they can no longer brainwash more people to add to their cult, it's never going to end. I don't know why people don't get this, why they don't understand this. And every time a tragedy like this happens on TV, they keep talking about it as that we all have to come together and light a candle and have a vigil and all that stuff. And that does nothing. That does absolutely nothing. It's no different than if you just opened up all the prisons nationwide and let all the most vile, most dangerous, top criminals loose, and then say, we can't stand for the violence in our city streets. We need this to stop. But yet you're doing nothing about it because you're letting all these criminals that are out there and these cult members and these people that have insane beliefs walk among us all. And then people wonder why there are the few that do what they do and make it so horrific for the rest. Do you see what I'm saying? They don't do anything about it. They let these vile people walk free. They know who needs to be rounded up, but they do nothing about it because they're afraid of them, because they fear them. And God instructs us not to fear evil, to face it head on. And yet nobody does. Nobody does. President Trump sitting there with one vile son of a bitch on one side and another vile son of a bitch on another. And he invited them to the White House dinner. When these people are some of the most toxic, vile SOBs that could ever walk the face of this planet. And he has them in his company. And then people wonder why I dislike the crap that Trump's doing when he promises to do A, but then turns around and does B instead. I don't trust somebody that doesn't live up to their word. If I was the president of the United States and I said someone's ass was going to go to jail once I reign as the president of the United States, I guarantee you that person would be behind bars so fast it'd make your head spin. But nobody wants to get these people off the street. Nobody wants to get these people out of society. And that's why this is never going to stop. There's going to be many, 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 many more Charlie Kirks in the future, unfortunately. You got Mike Rowe that needs to worry. You got Ben Shapiro that needs to worry. You got Glenn Beck that needs to worry. You got Joe Rogan that needs to worry. You got Megyn Kelly that needs to worry. And many, many more powerful and influential voices out there that need to worry, because the side that nobody will stop is loose to do whatever the hell they see fit. So therefore, it puts all these kinds of people's lives at risk at all times. That's why it will never stop, because unless you address the problem, when the whole damn world knows who's the problem, the George Soros of the world, the Rachel Madcows of the world, the skanks on the panel of The View of the world, until you round these cultists up, it's never, ever going to get better. And I don't give a shit who disagrees with me.